Bode George, a former national deputy chairman of the People's Democratic Party, also known as the PDP, has expressed dismay over members of the party joining the coalition under the African Democratic Congress, also known as the ADC. According to him, those who have now abandoned the PDP should retrace their steps and return to the fold before it's too late. Well, joining me to discuss this is Francis Mountainfly-Onuzuruike. He's a political analyst. He joins virtually. Thank you for your time. All right. While we're still, of course, okay, I understand that. All right. It's great to have you, Francis, on the program this evening. Let's start off with your take on the coalition itself. You know, this, of course, has continued to generate reactions across quarters, some questioning the objective of the coalition, while others question the makeup of the coalition and, you know, what I call it, its structure in terms of leadership and strategies. But let me ask you on a broader perspective, what's your take on this coalition force to wrestle power with the ruling All Progressives Congress in 2027?
Yeah, thank you, Doctor, for having me tonight. I mean, Nigeria never ceased to amaze me, and the politicians as well, you know, they're all full of drama. Was the coalition, was it fit for purpose? Is it what we needed at this point in time? Rather than we focusing at the issue that have engulfed this nation for more than 40 to 50 years now, is still the same stereotype, the same individual, the same cabal, the same caliber of people, you know, trying to shift from one party to another and repurpose themselves. It's not about the name of the party per se. However, the individuals, you know, let us talk about the individual. The name has changed. Has the individual, their character, as they change? What's new would they offer to Nigerians? When you look at the coalition, it's the same people that's been in government. It's the same people that's been in politics. When you're on the other side, what do you change? So why do you think you people rebranding yourself with a new name, coming up with a different kind of slogan? You think you can fix Nigerian, and you couldn't fix Nigerian when you have the opportunity, when you're in power. Those in coalition should watch out. My take on this is that it's another round of drama that we're going to see in 2027. Thank you.
You said it's another round of drama that Nigerians will witness in 2027. But you said that it appears like it's the same set of individuals that, you know, Nigerians have known that seem to make up this coalition. Many of them have held political positions in the past at different capacities, while some might say maybe they did well. Some said, no, you know what, you're even part of the problems that we are facing as a nation. But I want to ask you, there are some that will argue to the contrary and say, look, for politics to really, really work, for you to win elections, it goes beyond just character. It goes beyond just, you know, having personality, of course, which of course plays a large role. But there's also the aspect of collaboration, that you need people, certain people, to get to certain points politically. And maybe this might just be the strategy. What's your take?
Oh, thank you, Dapo. I like the word you said, collaboration. Collaborate with who? The same people collaborating among themselves to still govern Nigeria in a different pattern? Is it what we expected in 2027? No, that's not what we expected in 2027. I mean, look at the antecedent, look at the record. It's not about attacking the present government. It's not about, you know, coming there telling us stacks on paper. Also remember, this is the exact thing that played out in 2023. You cannot win election on the social media by saying, I will do this, I will do that, I will do this, I will do that. No, that's not what we need. We need people that is accountable, credibility. When we look at your track record, you know, we can actually see substance in it. How many of those people who are in coalition that doesn't have, I quote, a questionable mark around their neck.
But sorry to interrupt you, but is it possible to be a politician in this country and not have some sort of baggage?
It's possible. It's possible to be a politician and not have any sort of baggage. That's why I call accountability, credibility, character. You see, every one of these individuals that have led Nigerian, when you look into their life, there are things you can point out to. Yes, we can take Yaradua, the late Yaradua, as a great example. Having been a governor and being a president, may he so rest in peace, with a little time that he spent, these are the kind of people who want to set the status quo straight for Nigeria. And Jonathan coming up on board, and we can see how they made his tenure ungovernable for him as well. And that's why we have all this kind of drama. The moment you stood up there, to make things work, these people, in their selfish interests, will come out with their mechanism and their, how will I call, with their mercenaries that they will use to cause destruction. Look at their faces, look at their track record. It's the same people. And they block the ways for the new generation to come on board with a fresh idea. Why can't they sit back and let the new generation take over? Look at the Western world. Look at where we are in diaspora. Look at the ages of the people who make policies and people who govern us. The world is changing. There's no more 1960, there's no more 1970, 1980, 1999. We are in 2025. Fresh minds, most of them doesn't even know what's the new age needed. It's not about talking about policies, talking about you would do this, you would do that. No. In Nigeria, you cannot even put 2,000 youths in one circle. There's no way you can train up 2,000 youth. Look at what the world is turning. Go to China, go to India. We are like the third largest population in the world, but we can show nothing. And every day we're coming back, we're talking about the same set of people to govern us. So the youth have to rethink. Look at the age gap. No, look at the age gap. One can argue, yeah, Donald Trump is an XY amount of age before he assumed office, but look at his track record. In terms of the kind of policy business, what he has brought to America. Do we have the same in Nigeria? We don't. I've not seen any. So let us not come and play political chase and it says, oh, this person. No. We should begin from now to begin to look into our leaders' character, because character speaks a lot about a man.
Okay, I mean, in 30 seconds, because we'll just go on our first break. You keep making reference to integrity and character. I'd just like you to put it in bullet points. What do you think constitutes, when it comes to character and leadership, those components that you think are core?
What makes a man? If your words locate you, makes you. If your words cannot locate you, that becomes a problem. When you are in office, what do you do? How does the people perceive you? What are your actions? Because remember, if you favor one part and don't favor one part, you begin to fail. Is there inclusive governance? Do you listen to your people, or you want to do what pleases you? I can look at all their track record, all these people, and I can tell you one by one how they failed Nigeria, whether as a governor, whether as a minister, whether as a local government chairman or a senator or a House of Rep member. You can see all these traces. And believe me, you can't give what you don't have, but it's easier to say. We know what transpired in 2023 election. We see how Nigerians stood up. We want a new government. There's a shockwaves in Nigeria where we expected, okay, something new is going to come. But at the end, what stands? What stands? That's the truth. You see, coming into office, you're not coming to be served. You're coming to serve your people.
All right.
That's the number one thing every politician in Nigeria should know. You're coming to serve, not to be served. That's the number one thing. If you get that up there,
this point you've raised, of course, seems to be at the forefront of when it comes to leadership, the forefront of conversation as a yardstick, service towards the people. But there's also the aspect of building strong institutions. But we would go on this quick break. When we return, you raised quite a couple of issues. We'll look at the issue of constraint. Is it that Nigerians, because some individuals are beginning to say, you know what, it seems to be the same set of politicians that are recycled. Are we constrained when it comes to having options of maybe alternatives who can bring forward as leaders? And also the issue of age bracket when it comes to holding political office. Is that really an issue too? Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and we're looking at the ADC and the coalition generally ahead of 2027. I still have my guest with me. Is Francis Mountainfly-Onuzuruike. Is a political analyst, joins virtually from the UK. Thank you for your time, sir, and thank you for staying with me. Now, you in your earlier analysis, you said that many of these leaders, particularly those that form the coalition now, are the same old names and faces that we know. Some Nigerians might even use the word recycled leaders. But we see almost this, will I call it, repetition happen every election cycle. The same set of people come out, and then people have to vote, within the options that maybe they think they have. Is it a situation right now of limited options, or people not just wanting to explore? Because we have about 19 political parties, right? At the end of the day, you find out that doing election is maybe streamlined to 2 or 3, which people term major candidates, right? So is it an issue of constraint here in terms of options, or people not wanting to explore, or just pure ignorance, by some Nigerians?
Okay, we have to go back and look at the root cause. We don't just gonna jump in and say it's fear, it's this, it's that, but what is the root cause of how this political recycling has been happening in Nigeria? So we go back to the root cause, we understand why. And one of the things here, an average Nigerian has this notion of fear. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to react, because what will be the consequence? And the same people, begin to marginalize, begin to place themselves, begin to, stifle, blockade 19 political parties. For what? What would we achieve? Tell me. You go to this political party, people are jumping from one party to another. People are jumping from one party to another. If you're not being accepted here, you've transported yourself to somewhere else. And when you get into the same office, you want to retaliate. When you get into the next office, you continue where you stopped. So let us stop playing baby politics in Nigeria. This generation, we've come to understand that these guys, they've held Nigeria to ransom. They were holding Nigeria on chokehold for a very, very, very long time. And this is a new era. 2027 may be a game changer for Nigeria. And that's why I am an advocate. I begin to advocate for the young to stand up and start speaking up. Don't be a people peddler. Then what would they do? Let them show you facts. Hold them accountable. I'm not going to vote for someone when I check your track record and you cannot even prove me wrong that if you come into a new office, you will deliver. Because When you are faithful with little, you will be faithful with much. He that is not faithful with little, how do you expect a person to be faithful with much? When we look at your past record from where you're coming, you've not been faithful to us. You've not fight for Nigerians. You see, some of those people.
Sorry, you talk about the involvement of young people, young Nigerians. We've seen quite a number of them try to get into the political space, right? And some of them, many will tell you it's pretty much a Koolian. Let's even start from the cost of maybe the acquisition of a party's nomination form that runs into millions of naira, right? And then aside that, other hurdles that as a young person you might need to cross. So I just want to put it to you out there. As much as we know that, yes, young Nigerians are meant to hold the future in their hands, is it fair to say that it's a level playing game?
Thank you, Dagbo. It's not a level playing game. Let us not deceive ourselves with what we already know the answer in Nigeria. But 2023 can become the playbook for the youth. We've seen what transpired in 2023. There are people in the office today, they didn't break the bank to get to where they are. They were duly elected out of merit. I mean, when we talk about the Labour Party, a lot of Labour candidates that we have today, either in the State House of Assembly or the National, or even in the government, they were there for merit. Do they break the bank to buy the tickets? So what the INEC or whoever is in charge, what they do is to raise the bar so the young ones will not be able to buy those tickets. So them with the money, or the one they've siphoned, the one they already have, they were able to buy ticket and change and move. So electoral reform is needed. There should be a cap and there should be a gap. We shouldn't be on all level playing field. If you have served Nigeria and you want to come back again, your own form should be times 10 rather than a new entrant.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Sorry, yeah. I'm going to pick you on that. You said you are, for you feel if you've served Nigeria and you want to come back again, your form should be times 10. Would you like to explain what you mean by that?
What I mean, it's not on level playing ground. Let's take it as an example. Someone who is already a governor and he wants to come in as a senator, what would you expect? It's easy for him to afford the ticket, right? And pay the parties, yeah. But someone who is just coming out of a secondary university, or someone who is just coming in to do something good and doesn't have 25 million to buy a ticket, where does you leave that person? And that's why we say electoral reform is needed. So there should be a leeway. There should be an avenue to give the youth a chance to come. And that's why we have so much parties where you don't have to go break the bank to pick up a form and run for an office. And also, Nigerian youth should get out of their high horse. The party that you've been supporting for more than 40 years hasn't done nothing for you. You mustn't be in PDP for me to support you. You mustn't be in APC for me to support you. I am more of the person. What is in your manifesto? What are your ideas? What can people say about you? Are you hungry before you're coming into office? This is another problem we have. You see, we see the issues in other states. Most people do not qualify for the seats that they occupy. That's a huge problem in Nigeria. They are not qualified. If you bring some of this, our elites on the world stage, they cannot even represent Nigeria. They cannot even hold the conversations when you talk about governance, policies, ideology. They cannot. So this is the problem. And we have youth, educated, intelligent, sound, vast, but they cannot excel into those areas where they can be part of the decision maker, the policy maker in the country, because we've been compromised. I'm a Nigerian youth. We've been compromised, and I can tell you the truth. Except we rise up and begin to look at what matters and begin to say, hey, this time around, you've done this without, we appreciate you, but we need somebody with a fresh idea.
Somebody once said, please stay with me. I'm still staying with you on this. Somebody once said that power is not given, it's taken, right? What's your take on this notion?
Power is not given, it's taken. What kind of ideology is that? What kind of ideology is that? We can position a good man to attain an office. Would you say it's taken? There are good people. We see them in our communities. There are good communities who speaks up. In 2023, somewhere in Imo State, the community came together and held the Honorable to ransom and said, you are not going back for the second time. This person is more qualified. We have assessed him, we think he will represent us well. And that was the first of his kind. And it gladdens my heart. Are you going to say it was taken? The politician did everything. He didn't win. So he could not take that power. That is a given. So we need to balance these two narratives. Power is not given, it's taken. We're not in a military era. We're not in a military era where someone would just seize power, you know. We understand the slogan, Emilio Con, you know. Things like that, should we be experiencing that in a democratic era when you say it is my turn and I have take this thing by force, and you don't allow the people's choice to reign? So yes, we have to compete, we have to fight for the office, and what it does is that the best person wins the office. You see, not when you take power and you give it and you install someone there. That's when you seize power, you don't take it. What they do in Nigeria, they seize power. You know, civilians seize power, the civilian in disguise as a dictatorship, they seize power and install whoever they want, and people just sit back and relax. We know how the Arab Spring began, and we can see the effect in the Arab world. We can see the global ripple effect even in Europe. We can see that, and Nigerian can adopt that principle when we need a change. Enough of the talk. Let us do something. The youths, in 10 years' time, we are going to be old, and the generation coming after us, they will be the youth. If we don't fight to make a pathway for them, we'll still have somebody 90 years, another 80 years, 70 years, holding the same office.
Francis. All right, Francis, thank you so much. We'll go on a quick break now. When we return, we will definitely dig into this conversation and look at the ADC this time from a, what I call it, broader perspective in terms of political permutation. Some Nigerians are saying, you know what, for this coalition to stand a chance, certain arrangements need to be put in place. We'll look at that. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and we're discussing the coalition movement ahead of 2027 general polls. I still have my guest with me, Francis Mountainfly-Onuzuruike. Is a political analyst joining virtually from the UK. Also joining this conversation right now is Salauideen Hashim. He's a policy analyst. He also joins virtually. Thank you for your time. Let me come to you, Salauideen. Salauideen, let me ask, now looking at the coalition itself, ahead of 2027, since its announcement, there's been a lot of reaction. Part of the reaction is from the PDP, for instance, where Chief Bode George is saying that members or the key figures within the coalition, or PDP members within the coalition, should find their way back home, right, before it's too late. And we are even seeing statements also from the former governor of Benue State saying that, look, members cannot be, PDP members cannot be, belong to two parties. You can't be a member of the ADC and be a member of the PDP. It was even, you know, sort of suggesting that they might even be flushed out. I'd like you to speak on the calibers of persons within this coalition and some of these reactions that Nigerians are witnessing.
All right, thank you very much for having me. I think, first of all, it is very important to establish that as it is in this country, we do not have a political ideology that guides and governs our political system. And when you have an absence and deficit in political ideology, what you begin to have is a system that throws up a complete impunity in its entire electoral system. And of course, you would agree with me that since we returned to democracy, this has continued to shape the minds of Nigerians. And each electoral cycle, there is something that has always dominated electoral election report, and that is apathy. Apathy suggests very clearly that citizens are beginning or have lost complete faith in the electoral system, whether the electoral management body, whether the political party system, whether the entire logistics administration. I mean, generally, there seems to be a little bit of a vast deficit of trust that people have lost within the system. So if you take that into account, it tells very clearly that what we simply have is actually a transactional political system where people only engage in interest rather than in development. What does that mean? It tells very clearly that over a period of time, what political actors have actually demonstrated to Nigerians is that they tilt towards where their interest particularly lies. And we have seen it played out in the political mobilization, that has taken place. And until recently, when we saw yet another new realignment that is called the coalition, well, it is actually good in the name of democracy to have an expanded group continue to participate in a very robust and engaging manner. But again, when this robust engagement is actually resulted not in the interest of developing the nation, but in the interest of further advancing personal interest, it also says a number of things. One, all of the individuals and the gladiators who have actually moved themselves into this so-called saint coalition, where people who have held political offices in the past. The question that should readily comes to mind in the lips of Nigerians, what exactly contribution to national development. So there should be an issue-based engagement rather than actually playing the politics of ethnicity, sentiment, and then of course aligning purposely to divide Nigerians further.
Okay, so maybe I should just come in here. Let me come in here. You said that there should be issue-based.
Before I drop, is the fact that in the last
if I got you correctly, you said that there should be issue-based engagement rather than, issues where individuals seem to pursue their own personal interests. But I want to ask you, with what we are seeing with this coalition, with what we are seeing with the coalition right now, do you think that that is what is playing out?
In terms of engagement, but the engagement is.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Mr. Hashim? I think we're having a bit of difficulty trying to connect with Hashim, but let me move.
Yes, I can hear you loud.
Okay, good. It's good you can hear me now. Before we go on this break, you said that the conversation or the ideology should be issue-based. But I'm asking you, with this coalition,
loud and clear,
right? Is that what we are seeing? Even if there are reservations, I used the word earlier on this show. Some will tell you that in Nigeria's political space, aside being a person of integrity, credibility, and all of that, you also need strong collaboration. Do we see that at play here, or is just largely a constellation of people with divergent political interests?
Absolutely, what you have now, honestly, even though democracy is actually defined to be an interest that actually should be diverse and political participation is actually one of the biggest ways to demonstrate that. But what we have seen here is actually using democratic integrity as a cover rather than using it for purposes of advancement. So there is no issues in what we have on the ground. These were people who had put in efforts together. And I think I particularly want to warn those who, just one or two of them who have the integrity to advance their cause, to also rethink again, because again, to be very honest, what this simply tells is that, look, because we lack that fundamentals that actually allows us to be able to educate political citizens on participation, we just notice that people can wake up on the morning and by an evening they're already belonging to a different political party. Since we return to democracy, in the last two elections, two things or three things rather has continued to divide us. One is ethnicity, two is religion, and the third one is one of the cancer that is actually eating deep into the system, which is an issue that borders around further dividing us across the lines of where we came from or where we didn't come from. But again, they forget that poverty and of course underdevelopment have no religion and they have no ethnicity. They do not speak or practice any kind of religion. So they have a universal denominator to whoever they have actually visited. And I tell you very clearly that I think again, we have a followership that is also domino that has domino effect that is not deeply involved most of those things against us, or by the political elite, and they have also captured the entire process, which has gone into the minds of the people. And I recall that the other speakers at the time I joined mentioned the fact that our young people are not participating. To be very honest, it is a deliberate and calculated attempt by the political class. So they give the young people other programs that actually satisfy their urges on TV. And then, of course, if you know how much young people vote for a certain TV program just to participate, it is bigger than the amount of votes they put in when it is time for election. So young people have actually pursued a different entertainment that is other than their construction and participation in shaping their future.
Mr. Hashim, just before we go on this break, please listen to me. Please listen to me. Listen to me, sir. You said young people seems to be. Are you suggesting that the reason why maybe a lot of young Nigerians are not politically involved is because they are distracted? Is that what you're saying? 30 seconds, sir.
Absolutely. That is exactly what it is. It is deliberate, it's a weapon, and they have deployed it. And to be very honest, it is working in the hands of political elites.
All right, thank you so much. We'll go on this quick break. When we return, we'll definitely continue in this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and I still have my guest with me. Let me come to you, Francis, on this one. Francis, I mean, this, of course, is the final minutes of the show. I would like you to speak on, will I call it, permutations, you know, and will I call it political computations. Now, there's the talk around zoning the top job in the country. I'm talking about the position of the presidency. And some Nigerians are suggesting that should the coalition field certain candidate or candidates, they might stand a chance or not in 2027? I mean, the politicking, indirectly has started, but what do you make of this? The idea of zoning, which of course seems to be an unwritten rule, and certain candidates giving maybe this coalition a chance ahead of 2027.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor, for asking this question. Believe me, this coalition, what is on the playbook? What new can they offer to Nigerians? I don't even know. Because let us not be naive and let us not be deceived. Politics, like the last caller said, there are influence, there are factors, ethnicity, religions, they influence our politics so much. Notwithstanding, this is not a primary factor that affects politics in Nigeria. Let me correct every Nigerian should know. The primary factor in the systems, that nobody's talking about is the widespread level of corruption in Nigeria. The widespread of it. Many youths will be rooting for this coalition. Why? Because in their little mind, if they support the same group of mercenaries who has created this barrier, this structure to block, to deprive the youth and women the opportunity to partake in what they are doing. Tell me, in this coalition, do we not have a young minds? How many young minds are in this talk? That is to start. How many women are in this talk? So let us begin to, I keep talking about the root cause. It's the same thing. If we cannot stop this political corruption, this political suicide that we are all celebrating, which youth on his right mind will even want to engage with this coalition? We have a problem at hand. Our problem is not forming a new party. Our problem, there's hunger in the society. How do we fix Nigeria? How do we tackle the issue of insecurity? How do we tackle the issue of poverty? Do you know Nigeria have the lowest workforce outside Pakistan in the world? You'll be amazed. And nobody is talking about this. And we're talking about coalition. We're talking about 2027. We're talking about who's going to hold the next office. And the youth.
I mean, that would lead me to my final question to you, Francis. But before I come to you, let me just take, of course, Dr. Hashim's final remarks on this. What do you have to say to Nigerians, as your parting word, as regards this coalition and what I call it, governance in the country?
Nigeria has a third ethnic composition in the world. And then, of course, my message to Nigerians is that we must not at any point allow that composition to be a division. Rather, we should harness it and use it as a tool for national development. And that, for me, is very key. But what we have seen very clearly is a group of individuals who are particularly advancing the need to further tear Nigerians apart just to satisfy their particular and personal interest. Just like they say in our local parlance, that politics is about numbers, and they say indeed politics is about how we deal with it in terms of managing diversity. But again, we need to also find that in terms of governance, and then of course see how that has also moved us forward. I'll take, for instance, certain individuals, just like I have on your screen, David Mark, who are actually at different points sharing this particular group, and then of course held political offices, and then of course Nigerians can relate. Nigerians must use issues and then of course use credentials as their own decision to vote for any political party or any individual in 2027. Enough of ethnicity, enough of using it as a tool for division, enough of using it as a weapon for manipulation.
All right.
Nigerians are manipulated enough. And I think Nigerians going into 2027 should say enough is enough. We want to vote for national development, not any individual with kind of negative credentials.
All right, thank you so much. Just also, I'd like to take your final thoughts. You did mention governance, and I'm talking to you, Mr. Francis Mountainfly. But I'd like you to subsume it to what we have in Enugu State. I know you are from Enugu State. Would you say governance is truly at work there, and the people of Enugu State are having the best of time?
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, Enugu is another use case when we talk about good governance. I mean, look at what this guy is doing, the Maverick, as I called him, because one thing I keep saying, office is not to be served, it's to serve your people. What's the drive? What motivates you? What brings you to office? Is it to come and line your pocket, or is it to come and serve your people? And we can see it in Enugu. This guy, day in, day out, continue to raise the bar of governance in Enugu. And I begin to ask questions. Mba, when you leave office, who is going to supersede you? Who are you going to hand the baton over? Is it another person that's going to take us back to where Enugu was 8 years ago? So these are all the questions. Until we begin to have a stronger institutions in our governments, institutions where their minds cannot be corrupted, where we can hold people accountable. We can come to you and say, when you are in the office, this is what you promised, this is what you've delivered, and why should you bring this person who could not deliver, who could not take the next baton and run? Politics should be a relay. It's not a 100-meter dash, it's not a 200 sprint, it should be a relay. You finish, you hand over to the next person, it continues where you stop, and begin the development. And Enugu has begun to show us that something new
I'm sorry, but we need to go. We need to go. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you, Reverend Francis Mountainfly, as a political analyst, and also Dr. Salauideen Hashim, a public policy analyst. Gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. Well, this is where we drop the curtain. All right, this is where we drop the curtains. In case you missed out, you can catch up on our YouTube platform. That's at News Central TV. You can also choose to follow us across social media. The handle is there on your screen. You can choose to follow me personally at Dakpo at Digboyi. Until I come your way again, good night.